Live for free. I'm going to show you how you can do that with Airbnb right now on the Fearless Investor Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome into the Fearless Investor Podcast. You're listening to me, Kyle Stanley. We're helping you to conquer the world of investing here. And I have one ask before we get started. Can you please go on to Apple Podcasts and rate and review this podcast? It really helps the message get out to more people. And I think you'd probably agree more people need to hear about these opportunities in Airbnb and real estate and so many other investing opportunities. So now, before we also get started, instead of me asking you for something again, I'm going to actually give you something. I hope that you've already done this, but if you haven't, go on to our website, fearlesskyle.com, download our free Airbnb profit calculator. It's helping you to determine if you've got an Airbnb deal or an Airbnb dud. And if you have any other further questions too, we have an amazing Facebook group. All you got to do is go to Facebook and type in Airbnb Masterminds, or you can even just go facebook.com/Airbnb Masterminds. And you can join that group for absolutely free, always posting tons of valuable information. So let's get to it today. You joined us today on this podcast and on this YouTube channel if you're watching because you are wondering, how can I live for free? That probably caught your eye. And before we get started, I want to just kind of throw down a few things. I think we all know that the biggest expense for most of us, I would say the majority of us, our biggest expense on a month-to-month basis is keeping a roof over our head. It was very recent that I looked up at CNN.com that over 10 million people in the US are behind on their mortgages. And a lot of that has to do with COVID, right? So I'm hoping today that this message will help you to be able to either catch back up on your mortgages, show someone this video, or show them the podcast so that they can catch up on their mortgages, or it will help you to just see living from a different standpoint. Like, we are in the share economy these days, and the share economy is owning and having pieces of property or even just valuable assets can actually pay you today. And that's not something that we really thought of even just 10 years ago or even just 5 years ago, to be honest. So with that being said, I just want to share with you my story. And I have not paid a single dollar for my mortgage since I owned my first home back in 2015. And the reason for that is because of Airbnb and this term that we use in real estate called house hacking, which just basically means you rent rooms or units out of the place that you are living to help pay for the mortgage. And so, in the beginning, Airbnb to me was just renting a room out of a house, and I was making anywhere between $35 to $55 a night, depending on what season. And it was helping to pay usually about $800 to $900 of the mortgage. The mortgage for me was $1,200, and I had two other roommates that also lived there. So yes, people were coming in and coming into the Airbnb, even though I had roommates, and they were still paying $35 to $55 a night. So kind of wrap your minds around that. Like, a lot of people ask me, why would someone want to come into, what I was 25 years old at the time, 26 years old, what felt like a bachelor pad. Why would people want to come in there? Well, they want to come in because they want to save money. And they want to be able, and a lot of people do it for the experience too. They want to meet people. They want to have a good time while they're there. They want to interact. They want to socialize. And that was a lot of the reasons why I saw people staying with us. And it was an amazing thing. But then something happened in 2018. I was like, hey, what if I, put my stuff away in storage? By this time I had moved to California. I was living on my own, and I was just doing Airbnb out of one room. And I said, what if I put my stuff in storage for the weekend? And, I was going on this vacation. The vacation cost me $300. I put my place on Airbnb for 3 days. I made $450 while I was gone on vacation. Airbnb paid for my vacation and then some. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, like, what have I been missing out on? So of course, from there, this is not what we're talking about today. It's been built into a business where I have $20,000 of cash flow every single month. We went from 0 to 25 properties in under 18 months. And it's been a blessing. But most of you are going to start and look at Airbnb as an opportunity to just pay for your mortgage. So I want to give you 3 steps today on how you can live for free through Airbnb. Now, before I get started here, to me, this isn't for everyone. there's a lot of people who are probably listening to this, and they're going to go home to their significant others. They're going to be like, honey, we got to do this. And then your wife is going to remind you, hey, we've got a 1-year-old kid and a dog. That sounds chaotic to me. I don't know if we can do that. And you're going to be like, oh yeah, I forgot about those things. So just when you hear this, evaluate and bring it to the table as a family and say, is this possible? Or is there other avenues that we can use this idea and apply it to so that we can go on more vacations, put more into investments, put more money in our pocket at the end of the month, and live for free? That's the goal here today. But the flip side is also, I've got friends that literally had their first kid and lived with the in-laws for a year. And a lot of you were like, thinking to yourself when you hear that, oh my gosh, I don't know how you have your first kid and live with the in-laws. That sounds just like a nightmare. Now, luckily, they have a great relationship with their in-laws, so it worked out really well. But for those of you that are like, wow, we're strapped financially, we're about to have our first kid, this could be a better solution for you. And I'm not even talking about renting out a room. What if instead of moving in permanently with the in-laws, you're able to move in every other month temporarily with the in-laws? And by doing that, by moving out of your house, it pays for your mortgage. Think about that for a second. So instead of, hey, we're strapped financially, we got to move in with the in-laws for a year, save some money, instead saying, hey, what if like every other month for 10 to 15 days we move in with the in-laws, keep ourselves sane, and still pay for the mortgage? Sounds a lot better, right? I mean, at least to me it does. I don't know if it does to you, but that does sound better to me. So let's do the math here really quick and how I get to that. So if you have called a $1,500 mortgage and you rent your room out on Airbnb for 20 nights, just one room, and with a collection of both nightly rates and cleaning fees, because if you live there, you're going to clean it yourself. It's easy. You get a combination of $75 a night, and you pay for your mortgage. 20 times 75 is $1,500. Boom. There's your mortgage. Then using the other strategy I just talked about, where you rent out your entire house, you put your things in storage, and you leave for, call it 10 days. Let's say you rent it out at $150 a night for 10 days. Boom, there's your mortgage, $1,500, 150 times 10, that's $1,500. Or if you've got a really nice place, maybe even, add another 50 to 100% on top of that. We're talking $225 to maybe $300 a night. And you do that for 10 days and you pay for 2 mortgages in one exit for one span of 10 days. Do the math. Okay. So for the first thing I want to do, all right. So now that you have an idea, okay, wrapping your mind around some of these ideas, how to live for free, either a room, an entire place, maybe even when you go on vacation, like what I do every time I leave for vacation, I clean my place. I put a few things away in storage, and I say to myself, all right, the things that are out, if they get stolen, whatever. I need a new pair of clothes anyway. I'm going to keep those clothes in the closet. So if you're that relaxed and you're that laid back like I am, then it's not going to be a big deal. But if you are worried about some things getting taken, put them in storage. So now that you have this whole concept, right, let's talk about the 3 things that you need to do to actually implement this concept. So number 1 is find a property. Now, if you already own a house, you live in a house, it's a nice house in a nice neighborhood. By the way, what I mean by nice neighborhood is it's safe. It doesn't have to be an A+ neighborhood, doesn't have to be a gated community. Those things help, but if it's just, hey, I'm going to drive down this neighborhood and I don't feel like I'm going to get shot, then I'm okay. Literally, for most places, that's all it takes. But if you already have a home that is a good potential for Airbnb, your barrier to entry is very low. All you have to do is just literally get some professional pictures, make sure they're professional, and throw it on Airbnb. Okay, you've already found the property. But if you haven't found the property, here is what I would do. Research. AirDNA is the first place I would go. You can, if you're on the YouTube channel, right down in the description, there's a link to AirDNA. You can sign up, get a 1-month membership. You don't have to keep on doing it month after month. Pay the $20 to $30 to $40, whatever it's going to cost you for 1 month. And that will pay you back. That research will pay you back so much more on your return on investment per dollar, because you're going to understand how much you can charge for that room or that house by doing the research. Then I would pair that with my Airbnb profit calculator, which a lot of you know about. It's just at fearlesskyle.com. And all you have to do is plug in your expenses in that calculator, plug in what you think your nightly rate is going to be, plug in what you think your occupancy is going to be, and it will magically appear that here's what you will make if you get those numbers that you are evaluating with. So do the research first so that you can understand, if I get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in this zip code, it should make this per room. It should make this per house for a nightly rate. If I get a 2-bedroom, 1-bath with a detached mother-in-law unit in this zip code down here, it will make this much per night for a room out of the house. It will make this much per night for the entire mother-in-law unit. These are the kind of things that the information you want to gather so that when a deal does come your way, you understand that's what we're looking for. That's what we've been wanting. And the other part that goes into that, right? The number one thing that you need to know is, what is that mortgage going to be? There's a lot of mortgage calculators. I would get with a lot of whoever your realtor is going to be. Most realtors have a app or a tool that they give to their clients that say, okay, here is if we buy a $300,000 home and we use a FHA loan and put 3.5% down, here's what our mortgage is going to be at 2.7% or 3.0%. That is a great tool to see, what is my mortgage going to be? Because the last thing you want to do is say like, oh, this is going to make a lot of money. But then you realize, holy cow, even though I'm making $3,000, my mortgage is $3,000. And that doesn't even include all of the electricity, the utilities, the Wi-Fi. You want to get all that stuff paid for, right? So doing the research on both, what does that deal look like from a visual and location standpoint, and what does that deal look like from a monthly mortgage standpoint? All right. So aside from that, some other things, safe neighborhoods, close to accessible highways, airports, close to stores, restaurants, entertainment. If you live in a beach city, obviously, you don't have to live right on the beach. That's really expensive. But if you can get there, you're going to get a much higher nightly rate. And if you at least are in driving distance, that can be a plus too. So that's number one, finding the property, doing the research to evaluate what does that deal look like. Number two is make your plan. And what goes into making your plan? Well, are you going to do an entire room or a room or an entire house? I say do both. Even if the plan is scary to do an entire house, here's what I know is going to happen. Your family is going to plan a trip at some point where you're going to be gone for 3, 5, 7 or more days. And when that house is sitting vacant, you're going to be on that vacation wondering to yourself, should we have Airbnb'd this thing while we're gone? Because that could have paid for our trip. So just do it anyway. If you never end up listing it, or if you never end up actually unlocking the calendar, that's okay. But at least have it on there so that you know, if we do want to do that, it's an option. So make 2 listings. Make one for the room and one for the entire house. Decide how you're going to store your belongings. Most people, I recommend, just put a lock on the garage, both the doorway to be able to get in the garage, and then, of course, if it's a garage that is, not a manual lift up one, then people aren't going to be able to get in it anyway. And just putting the listing, no garage access, make them park in the driveway or on the street, and put all your belongings in there so that you don't have to worry about anything. Another option is putting locks on the closets, or putting on the closet doors, if it's a door handle, a keypad keyless entry for that, so that you can lock it while you're gone. And again, just like what I said, if you care about it and it has sentimental value, or it has a actual money value to you, that you're like, oh my gosh, if this gets stolen or damaged, and Airbnb for one reason or another doesn't cover this in the host guarantee, then I need to be okay knowing I'm taking that risk. If you're okay with taking that risk, keep it out. If you're not okay with taking that risk, put it in storage. So those are the 2 options. Of course, if you have a shed in the back, if you have another unit in the back where you can store these things, that's a great option too. I literally just have storage in my back unit. And so I just put those things in storage while I'm gone. Pretty awesome. Then The other part is who's going to clean while you're gone. Make sure you have someone set up. I would say, because you're not doing this as a business per se, you're doing it more as a hobby. When you're house hacking to just pay for your mortgage, it's a hobby. So enlist a neighbor. Like, I hope you've lived at this place long enough, or you're going to live at this place long enough to develop great relationships with your neighbors. And for that reason, you can find a motivated neighbor. I was just talking to someone the other day, a potential student, and we're talking about how she shares a wall in a condo with another neighbor. And I said, well, what do you know about that neighbor? And she goes, oh yeah, she's really nice. She doesn't care that I'm going to do Airbnb. She's always looking for ways to make money, and she's throwing things on Etsy and OfferUp, and always looking for that extra dollar. And I was like, well, what if you pay her a retainer for $100 per month and say, hey, anytime like someone needs something, can I just call you and you just dip over really quick and do that for her, or for the guest? They need an extra blanket, they need an extra towel, a light bulb went out, things like that, where it's like, you literally have almost like an on-site manager because they're in the same neighborhood. And then you tell them, hey, and every time that needs cleaning, what if I pay you per cleaning? If it's call it 1,000 square foot, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Can I pay an extra $50 just to go in there, do the laundry, vacuum, mop, and clean off the countertops? What a great way to be able to develop a great relationship with your neighbor, because they're going to love you because you're literally employing them, and B, a neighbor that goes to bat for you. So if someone else in the neighborhood's like, I can't believe they're doing Airbnb while they're gone, then this neighbor who's talking is also saying, hey, listen, I go in there. I'm the one that, helps with it. These are good people. That the people who live there, they know what they're doing. They know how to be able to pre-screen tenants, yada, yada, yada. You have someone on your side. So that would be the plan for cleaning if I were you. Or just, someone else, a family member. I wouldn't use companies. They're too high priced. And then deciding, this is again still in the plan, how many nights do you need per month in order to pay for your mortgage, either for the entire house or for a room. So that is number 2. Number 3, set up your home and your listing. There are ways to be able to add value. So what I would look at first is, all right, hun, we got this detached garage, right? We got this huge driveway. What if we put $20,000 into that detached garage and we rent that thing out and we make $1,500 a month every single month on Airbnb? Think about that for a second. I'm going to do the math here right for you. So $1,500 divided by $20,000, it would only take basically, wait, that I did that wrong. 20,000 divided by 1,500. It would only take 13 and a half months to make all your money back. What a great way to add value to your house, because you now have more square footage, and to get more cash flow from your house. This is exactly what I did in my home. So where I'm coming to you and where I come to you from every day is, I live in my mother-in-law unit. I have a very low standard of living. I don't need the fancy big places. I don't need the nice cars. I can live beneath my means, just like what Robert Kiyosaki talks about. I can live beneath my means, and I see the other part of my house as an asset. So the main house is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, and it grosses around $4,500 a month. Okay, think about that for a second. Now that does include cleaning fees. Cleaning fees end up being about $800. So let's just call it $3,700 is what it grosses per month. Then this next door unit, it used to be a workshop, and I put in just what I talked about $20,000. We converted it to a mother-in-law unit. And now I have a long-term tenant in that one. So I have a long-term tenant in one, and I do Airbnb in the other. Reason being is, in Clovis, where I live, you can't have multiple short-term rentals on one property. One has to be long-term. The other it can be short-term. So altogether, I make $4,000 on average per month. My all-in expenses are about $3,500 per month at this, $2,500 per month at this place. So what does that mean? That means I'm making $1,500 per month at the place I live. I'm not living for free. I'm making money where I live. Like that. Think about how powerful that is. So can you convert a garage? Can you add a tiny home? Can you can you maybe close off one side of the house? Maybe you got a big 4-bedroom and that last master bedroom has the bathroom, and then you could maybe add a little like kitchenette in there, close it off, and now it's a 3-bedroom, 1 bath that you live in, and a 1-bedroom, 1-bath studio attached to you. Like those are creative ways. It's kind of like Monopoly, right? Instead of going and buying a bunch of different places on Park Place and then over at Baltic and then Connecticut, you're going right on to Park Place and you're being like, how do I build up the hotel at Park Place, and how do I build this thing up? How do I add value to one location? And that's the way that you want to think about this. So aside from that, so you've got the setup, okay? You're either going to do a tiny home, you're going to do a room out of your house, you're going to block off an entire section of your home, you're going to convert a garage. Heck, you might even be able to get more. Let's say that there's 3 bedrooms on one side of the house, and then there's 1 bedroom on the other side of the house. And then in the listing, you say complete privacy on the opposite end of the house. And instead of renting that room out for, call it $40 a night, you're able to rent it out for $50 to $60 a night because it's more privacy. So these are all ways that you can think of how to be able to promote your home to add more value and to get more per night. Next step in the setting up your home and listing is have all of the essentials. If you need any sort of advice on what the essentials are, I would go to any Airbnb listing and I would just look at what are the amenities that these super hosts provide. And you can see every single amenity there. If you need a shopping list, DM me on Instagram at FearlessKyle. I'd be happy to share with you my shopping list. And then for the rooms, if you're just doing a room out of your house, I always say go the extra mile. Something as easy as putting a couple bottles of water, a nice little welcome note, offering like a snack basket where it's like, you've got some granola bars, maybe even like a card in there for all the popular things to do around the area. You could also, what I love is I've gone to Paso Robles in California, and a lot of these Airbnbs will have like discounts and mutual connections with wineries in the area. And so they'll literally offer, hey, take this card there and you'll get 50% off a flight of wines. And so those are great things to do. And then I would obviously, like, if you're there, what I used to always do is I say, if you wake up and I'm making breakfast, ask me for some eggs, I'll make you breakfast. I never actually say like you will be provided with breakfast because we're all busy, right? We all have things come up in the mornings. You got to take the kids to school or, you got a meeting or something. But if you wake up at 8 a.m. and I happen to be downstairs getting ready to make breakfast, I'm going to ask you, do you want some eggs and bacon? Because that's what I'm going to have. So just those little extra things will help you to get 5 stars and add more value. Then create a self check-in process. It doesn't matter if you're doing a room or your entire house, because people will want to check in when you're not available. You've got dinner on Friday night with the in-laws and they want to check in at 6 p.m. on Friday night. Have that self check-in process. You don't want to have to be present for this. If you have to be present for the business to make money, then you're a slave to the business. That's what I say. So those are the things that I would do. And then of course, putting your belongings away, like I've talked about before. So again, let's just recap that really quick. Number 1, find the property, doing the research, and finding good neighborhoods, a good place with a good mortgage that will fit into your budget. Number 2 is make that plan. Okay, is it going to be a room or an entire house? Is it going to be 2 listings? Where are you going to store the belongings? Who's going to clean? Number of nights you need, and then lastly, set up your home and listing. Finding ways to add value to the house, having the essentials. And again, putting out those extra things, the adding value for the services that you provide while they're there, and creating that check-in process. So those are the things I would do. Now, the key thing here is if you're fired up about this, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go home and do this. I'm single and a bachelor, boom, make the plan, just go do it. But if you have the family, I know you're excited to go talk to them about it, but have a plan and lay that plan out. And understand that you have to stick to the plan. I'm just going to tell you right now, you will have guests that will come into your house that either you're like, I don't know how I feel about this, or that you will have bad experiences with. Okay, it's just going to happen. I've talked to tons of hosts across the nation. 99.9% of them all say the same thing. We rarely have any issues. But there's that 1 out of every 100 that it's like, I wish I didn't host that person. but they learn from it. Don't stop the plan just because you had one bad guest. Don't miss out on this opportunity to live for free and to take the biggest expense on your plate on a monthly basis off of your plate because of one bad experience. Learn from it and gather some data and say, how can we maybe learn from this and avoid these situations in the future? Is there anything that we saw as this person was trying to book with us that maybe we can see as a red flag in the future? 0 reviews, local, didn't give a reason for their stay, things like that. So I want to really encourage you, stick to the plan so that you can live for free. And lastly, one more time, make sure you are joining our Facebook group, Airbnb Masterminds. Make sure you're downloading our Airbnb Profit Calculator at fearlesskyle.com. If you are ready to get started with this, make sure you get a 1-month subscription to AirDNA. The link is down in this YouTube video. All you have to do is click on that link. And of course, rate and review our podcast, please, so we can get more of this out to the world so more people can go out there and start conquering the world of investing. Thank you so much.